Hi there, my name is Tara Fournier. I am the founder of My Divine Compass, and I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts with this full moon on Friday the 13th. So here we are in September of 2019, and we are experiencing a full moon on Friday the 13th. And this moon is known as the harvest moon. And there are so many thoughts I had around this particular full moon that I actually wanted to make a video instead of writing a blog post. And the reason for that was because my blog post was kind of all over the place. And I just figured it would be easier for me to speak it versus write it. So yes, this is a full moon. And if you are like me, I swear that my emotions are somewhat controlled by the moon. And I know that I'm not alone when I say that, because I have friends that I have talked to this week, people that I've run into because I live in a small town, and everyone is feeling so heavy and so tired and so emotional. And I too have been feeling that all week. And so I know I'm not alone in saying that the moon really does play at least a portion of a part in my emotions. Now, scientifically speaking, they would say there's no research that indicates that, but I'm not someone who just goes along with only what science says. I also trust and feel what my body is telling me too. And so with that concept of the moon and how it does control the ebbs and the flows of the ocean, you may have heard before that because our human body is made up of about 70 to 75% water, that the moon also then controls us. And even though they'll say there's no scientific evidence behind that, I truly do feel that's the truth. Again, like I said, with how I feel and how all the people around me, what they're experiencing and what they're feeling. I also notice that the people who are more in tune with their emotions, with their general awareness of how they feel, tend to be more affected by the new and full moon. So if you are one of those, maybe you are just more heightened in sensitivity in your own awareness of what you feel. So this is the harvest moon, and in September, and I thought it was really interesting because new moons are a symbol of planting seeds of intentions. So on every new moon, we journal and write down the things that we would like to bring into fruition. So those little seeds of intentions that we hope to manifest. And then when the full moon comes round, the full moon is the time to reap the harvest of those seeds of intentions that we had planted. So I find it interesting that this is the harvest moon, the name of this moon for September, the harvest moon, and yet also the full moon is really about reaping the harvest. It's also about letting go, about surrendering, really just kind of letting go of what is no longer serving you. But we often think more into the full moon about it being about letting go, when it's also about reaping the harvest of those seeds of intention that we planted on the new moon. So I just thought that was an interesting thought. Another thought I had about this particular full moon is we are in, this full moon is in Pisces right now. And although I'm not an astrologer or anything, I do look into what that means. And so we know that Pisces has to do with emotion, and it's water related. So again, going back to earlier what I said with the moon and the cycles of the moon dictating the ocean tides and how I feel, I see in my own self, I see in other people, how our emotions are being kind of controlled by the moon at times, due to this idea of the water within our own body and the gravitational pull that the moon has on us. Here we are in Pisces, a water sign. So this particular full moon, with that gravitational pull of the moon pulling up the water in our body, meaning pulling up those deep emotions. And here we are in Pisces, a water sign, and it is really about emotion. You may have found that this particular week has been more emotional, like I said, more heavy than maybe past full moons, although we have had some super moons in this year of 2019, so that's been pretty powerful too. Another thought that I wanted to share was that here we are on Friday, and Friday is a symbol for and really named after Freya, the goddess of Friday, really. But she is a goddess of love and a goddess of lust and a goddess of fertility and death. And so when we think of full moon and that concept of letting go, that is a symbol of death, right? When we allow something to die, we allow ourselves to let go of it. But also, Friday is associated with the planet Venus, which Venus is the planet of love and femininity. And so here we are in this feminine energy, and in the feminine energy we find emotion, we find ourselves being within. Whereas when we're in our masculine energy, that's more of this mental, this thinking capacity that we have. When we're in our feminine energy, it's more about the feeling. So we are experiencing that here on a Friday in this full moon. So I hope I was clear on all of my thoughts, because I really wanted to try and write all of this out, and it just was one thing after another. And so basically, what I want to leave you with is some questions really for you to ask yourself. And those questions are, in this time of the harvest moon, what intentions have you planted for this year so far that you are now reaping the rewards of that? And if your intentions, those intention seeds, did not come to fruition now, is it something to reevaluate and maybe let go of? Maybe it's not meant to manifest in the way that you had the vision of. Maybe it's meant to manifest in another way, or maybe not at all, actually. Maybe that's not meant for you. And I always think when something doesn't manifest in the way that I want it to, I always think to myself, if not this, then something better. So if you had planted some seeds of intention that you hoped to manifest in this later half of the year, and it hasn't come in the way that you thought it would, then allow yourself to surrender to that and know that if not this, then something greater. And another thought for you to think about, to consider, is because this full moon is in the starting of this fall season, autumn, and that season, this season is about change. So we see change happening in our outer world. And so what change needs to happen in our inner world? And this isn't just something on the surface, especially with this full moon being in Pisces. This is really an opportunity to dive deep into ourselves, into our subconscious and ask those questions of what real change needs to happen. And remember, that change is always within us. It's never someone else needs to change. It's always, what can I do to change inside to make the outside, my outer world, better? So those changes may be, re-evaluating relationships, re-evaluating your workplace, what you're doing, getting yourself on the right path. Maybe you're someone who finds yourself feeling stuck and wanting change in your life, but not really knowing how to move forward in that. So allow yourself to really go inside, ask yourself these important questions, journal about it. I'm a huge preacher of journaling, because the more you journal, the more your higher self can come through and guide you into the right steps to take. But if you are not a person who journals, then it's just getting into that habit, not being concerned about if someone reads this, what is it going to sound like, because no one will read it. It's yours. And really finding the answers within, allowing yourself to find those answers within. So I hope this all made sense. I know it's kind of scattered, but I had so many thoughts around this that I just felt it was really important to share more face-to-face than just in writing. I didn't want to leave anyone saying, huh? And so hopefully I didn't with this video. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Take care.